Hello, everybody. Welcome. Roses like investigated. So, I hope you're doing well. Today is Saturday night, and I hung out with some intuitive friends today. It was good. And so I haven't made a video in a yesterday. I did not make one. And I'll make one now. But I think, guys, it's interesting. It's just always very fascinating what is going to see what's going on, to observe what's going on, but also not get involved. I think that's probably what's going on now for me, is that on the one hand, yes, we are observing what's happening, like, in the sense of what's in the news, right? But you have to be very careful not to be so kind of absorbed by it that it kind of like fritters your energy away, because that's what it feels like, to be honest, right? Like, when I look at what's going on with Trump, and then all the awful things that he's doing, you forget about all the weird things that are happening in the world outside of your door. Okay. And by that, I mean, if you go for a walk, if you do anything outside of the internet, it's immediately so much better. And that's what we think we should all do. Okay. Of course, that's not why you come to this channel, but this makes sense, guys. It's really like, it's important to turn off everything. And if anything, this is a time for us to connect with our internal guides, with our light, with everything as we navigate through this. Because I realize too, the how, it's not something that we will like. The exact timing of the how is always debatable. Is that a word? But you understand, right? It's like when we focus too much on but how, oh my God, it's really like, it's impossible. Okay. Because things happen in ways that are so unpredictable. And so when I went to meet, I met with my friends, call them friends, today, and it was really nice. And we were debating, the situation here that we're dealing with. But ultimately, I think the how, we don't know, we can't possibly know the how of that, or how that will happen. But we have to go with our intuitive impressions, and we have to absolutely, the thing that we must do most important is to stay away from fear mongering and all of that. Yes, terrible things are happening. Yes, the man is still in power, but you have to stay, because that's going to contaminate your mind. Like, does it make sense? Either you're going to do something where you're going to protest, or something of that kind. You're going to take action, but to be observing and be a recipient of this energy is just not very productive at all. So as I talk to you now, I also realize that I am myself kind of trying to stay away from observing all the news, because it's pointless, really, because we know the agenda, we know the goal. But the thing is to stay in the place of light. Okay. I was talking to Corinne about it. She reiterated that too. And that's that. Okay, that's this part. I want to, so, and also I had it's interesting. I had this experience when I came back from meeting them. I went downstairs to the basement to throw out recycled. And I had this old notebook that I was throwing out, and I was flipping through the pages just to kind of ripping them out. And then there was this drawings that I had made over this sort of like affirmations / drawings for things I wanted. And guys, my life, and I feel like that was a sign for all of us, because just as before before I was looking at these drawings, I had been thinking, oh, how is this gonna happen, how and such, right? Just wondering about these things. And so I saw these drawings and they were like affirmations of what I wanted. And pretty much all of them came true. And it's so interesting because I think in retrospect, right, to looking at it today, what was remarkable is that at the time I was really I was really struggling a lot more than I am. Like, or not that I'm right now, I wouldn't say I'm struggling, but that's what it felt like then. This was probably like a year ago, honestly, something like a little bit or a little less than a year ago, something like that. And all the things have happened in ways that I never would have, I would never would have been able to quote unquote predict the how, right? And the issues that I was essentially like mostly financial and such, they were resolved in ways that I never would have. Like I just at the time I was so desperate, I didn't know how. I kept, saying it's and it's again. Usually you say it's like it's I want this or that. I didn't. I just wanted to solve these particular issues, and at the time again, it felt so impossible, or I had no idea where it was going to come from, but it did. And the same thing I think is a reminder here. I think this creature is leaving no matter what, eventually or next week, whenever that is. And we want a world of, if you focus on the world of peace and the world of um, higher vibrations and all that, and you affirm that, you pray for that, you are going to strengthen yourself, affirming the things you want and you care about, as opposed to spending all your time in outrage over the awful things the creature is doing. Okay. So and for me, the message was like you have no idea, that you don't know exactly the how, but it will happen. Because also, guys, I think I've told you on and off. Whenever I look for an explanation, how is it gonna? I told you I do think it will be through the military, but more details of that. I always got the no, there is no, you can't know, and doesn't make sense. And I think it's part of it is that the final outcome is a thing. The exact how, you can't focus on the how, you have to focus on the thing you want. Okay, because the how is extremely stressful. And the thing again, this time is really a time for taking it easy. And I even um, reschedule appointments. I had a couple of appointments this week, upcoming week. I don't have appointments for readings, that is, right? Personal readings. That I do personal readings, by the way, if you're interested. But I canceled them for this coming week because of everything that's in the books, etc. Right, for things to happen, and I'm taking the time to reorganize my house, which is hard for me. Long story, but the point is like that. Take it easy and take care. Be in the here now, because we can't know exactly the moment when things will turn. And care for yourself, care for the people you care about. Okay. And then this is it. I also, one of the things I discussed with friends today was about why we haven't been told to leave the country, right? Because if things were truly going to be like the world, what happened in Germany in the world, World War II with the man with the H letter, we would have been told. Doesn't make sense. I feel like if it was meant, like, doesn't make sense. If things were going to get worse, I would not be feeling the way I'm feeling, and neither would anybody else that I talk to. So this is this part. Okay, let's do the protection because there's a lot to discuss. So I like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle, I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and all the good, and so it is. Okay, so now we can start here. Um, let's go. Oh my God, look, it's okay. Nobody saw. Nobody gets. Let's go to other topics. So this is something that I think I told you guys before. I watched this astrologer. His name is Rick Levine. And I watched a few times this video of his. It's a monthly video each day. And I wanted to share with you this passage where he says on the 21st, there's something that is like, it's like a change in government. Because then I want to ask, give me more information, okay? Because it could be, again, in a way, as I was saying earlier, that we don't know exactly how this, the details are complicated, right? It's good to not focus on the details we don't know. But it feels as though minimally this is the beginning of the major thing, whether it's possible that he may not actually leave on that day, but something so significant may happen that it will be something like this. But so I want to share this with you because it's relevant. Where is the share? Okay, so let's go straight to the passage that I wanted you to hear.
That wasn't enough, and that is enough. I mean, this eclipse basically says, there's an old saying from traditional astrology about the lunar or about solar eclipses, and it's the king must die, long live the king. This is about change of power. And we're going to see how that power structure is beginning to change, but it may not happen overnight, but the ground is being laid here for some real dynamic and deep and important shifts.
Okay, so that's the passage, okay, that he talks about here. So then, right, so when he says that change in government, there's these big shifts, right? It's about change. We're going to see how that power structure is beginning to change. So, what does that mean in terms of our political system? And okay, so I saw this image of a statue of Trump made out of plaster. And it shows me that everything that is like on the level of the statue, meaning the world that he has created is made out of plaster, is fake. It's it's a system that is no longer of its time. And then I see that beneath it, there's as if new rocks or the new earth is birthing. And that's what it shows, that essentially, in a way, if you think of a vegetable garden, even, there is such a thing as planting and harvesting, and the harvest time has passed. And there's new seeds, good seeds, and we're harvesting the new seeds soon. Does it make sense? So it's sort of like it's past due, and it's almost, it just showed me that it's like this earth motion, as if there's not, the tower card again of the tarot, where it's like change comes from the outside and there's nothing you really can do about it. So it's outside of the control of everyone that is impacted by it, them and us too. So, okay, so tell me more. Yeah, it's saying that it's almost a symptom, that what we're going to see is a symptom of the change, right? That things are not functioning, not going forward, the system collapsing in a way or another. Not, but I don't want you to get scared again. I know there's a lot of fear mongers out there. Oh my God, this and that. I just feel like it shows me that there's something so big that it cannot be stopped, and they can't prepare for it somehow. Okay, so I still don't know exactly what it is, and the date, like he said, it could be that this is the beginning, but something significant is happening here. And also, something to remember too, that the reason why I don't think we're going to be living in fascism. When you look at history, right, all of these movements, whether it's the German man with the H letter, or Stalin, or whatever, they go backwards. And a lot of the ideology of the fascism is about, does it make sense that you look at Putin, you look at Trump, it's all about going backwards to some imagined past that never really existed. And the energy that I feel, a lot of people feel, is that we're going forward massively. It's real progress, not the backwards stuff they talk about. So I think we get to the point where you can't turn the dial towards, not towards the to the other direction anymore. It's no, there's no more place for them to go. So so that's what I see. Okay, a reordering by almost by natural means, if there's such a thing. Okay, so that's that. That's what I got here. And I do think again this time the moment you want to try to guess or know exactly what's going to happen, um, it doesn't work out that way, right? In terms of like the how, that's what I mean. You just have to keep focusing, putting the faith in the things that I know I feel, okay, the positive things and things moving in the direction of progress and not never wavering on that. Because the moment he's like, oh, but is it going to be it's like, I know I have felt it's going to be the military, but I don't know the details. I don't know and the more you try to focus on that, the more stressed you can get. So try to chill, try to relax and focus on the light, meditate and such, because the outside is extremely chaotic. Okay. Okay. So this is this part. I'm glad we talked about it. And then okay, the other thing I wanted to say, the motion of total chaos direction. So as I was about this conversation we had, I saw that we're moving forward, right? And and I kept using the gesture, like, okay, so both that we're moving forward, but that the whole Trump motion is to push something in an extreme levels that will make he himself collapse and try to collapse the system. But I think he will go first, right? I don't think the country is not going to give in completely. Okay. But he's pushing things so hard that there will be a point where he can't go anymore. But the motion and the energy that we have with him is like is like go to the extreme until he can't anymore. And I think in some ways, I know it sounds really contradictory what I'm going to say, but to not resist energetically in the sense of like, oh my God, I can't believe, look at him. Oh my God, oh my God. Yes. Because then the energy, it's like there's a vampiric motion here. Does it make sense? Because then it gets completely taken over by this. Okay. So so it's again focus on the light. Observe with extreme detachment. Okay. So so this is this part. Okay, that it will be extinguished. There is no way around it. It is what it is in that sense. Okay. 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 So let me go to the next subject. Oh, it's interesting. I'm going off my notes here. And another thing that I've picked up is that I watch several military channels, and
It may not happen
hold on a
overnight,
second. Jason. One of them is J. Okay, so Jason J. Smart. Another one is combat veteran. So I forgot it, and there's another one. Several of these channels. I think Greg, another one. I don't have it on top of my head. Well, maybe I can look in my history because it will show. Hold on a second. Um, So basically, guys, I don't, I can't quite find the exact one. I think it's, let's see here. Greg Terry Experience, that's the one I'm talking about. And there's another one. Oh, wait, where is he? I just clicked on it. Okay, Combat Veteran News. Okay. So let's go to that one. And so basically,
right?
I think, oh, here it is. That's the one. Okay.
Even Russia.
Okay, so let me share this with you. So, okay, here's military bloggers furious as Russia lies about offensive success. So, what I wanted to talk to you guys about is that, and I think it was this. This is like how crazy. I realize I do watch a lot of those channels, but he was talking about it. If it wasn't him, it sounds like, or it was someone else, sort of along the lines of his thinking patterns, anyway. But that the Western news, and that may have been Jason J. Smart, but talks about talks about Russia as if it were powerful, but the reality of the war is that they're losing. That there's a lot of like Ukraine has been very successful in attacking their oil fields, and that the economy is crippled, and that things are truly collapsing. And as I was talking today with my friends, it came up that one of them was talking about the Berlin Wall, how it happened. Nobody knew. And it wasn't like, oh, the Berlin Wall could collapse. It's something sort of inconceivable. Does it make sense? So it suggests to me, what I'm saying to you is that there's no astrologers are picking up on this. Then there's the people there, like the people that know about the war, that are not the West, like say the US media, let's just say it, right? That is definitely pro-Trump, if not, usually pro-Putin together, right? So they're not talking about this reality, and it looks like the FSB is now arresting a lot of the military generals. Now, I've talked about this book that I recommend to every single person called Putin's People by Catherine Benton. She talks a lot about this, the relationship between the FSB and the government, and how they're sort of like the mafia, like there's a mafia state and they're above the military. And that this power grab to me shows how this also, because this book also talks about what happened when the the USSR fell, and it's somewhat, I feel somewhat similar to me. They're capturing, like, doesn't make sense, more power for themselves because of power grab, because things are collapsing. It feels like so. Does it make sense? And it's interesting because the chaos that they want to create in the West, they're ending up being the ones who are suffering. Okay. So let's see. So does it make sense? Like so the fact that it's reaching this level. Okay, here it is.
Really did. And what does this mean for the morale of the Russian public? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. So this is kind of wild because anytime Russian mill bloggers, which are the Kremlin's best and worst friends in equal measure, are actually calling out Gerasimov and other senior Russian generals for essentially lying outright about what their so-called summer offensive achieved. Now, according to the Russia's chief of staff, Gerasimov, he declared in late August that the summer offensive achieved major victories across eastern and southern Ukraine in their summer offensive. He said they seized thousands of square kilometers of newly captured land and 150 settlements, or whatever's left.
Okay, so I don't think I knew that it was about this military bloggers are actually pro-Russia. So even the people that are pro-Russia are like calling it out. So the situation is dire. And just a reminder, guys, more than 1 million soldiers have died since Russia invaded Ukraine. I'm talking about Russians. Okay. I think it's at this point like 1.2 or at least 1 million for sure have died. So young men there are cannon fodder. Okay, really. And the situation is collapsing. So I'm bringing this here because we're talking about global situation, something big, something global that could happen. It doesn't necessarily have to mean exactly Trump, but if things were to happen, then it would affect Trump as well. Okay, so does it make sense? There's a lot going on that we are not being told, because the narrative is like, be scared of us, be scared. I am scared of us. I'm scared. Oh, no, it's they have done terrible things, right, to our elections and such. But so, what is actually going on with Russia? Okay, now what is actually going on with Russia? What is going on in Russia that will impact Trump? Is it true? What about Pam Gregory when she said there's something similar here? What then happened to Russia? The fall of the USSR, the death of Stalin. So when I look at it, it shows me a country that is like the image I get is like the map, but all the areas there's like most of it is like white, meaning kind of like icy or lacking like not very populated, and that the economy is just very very bare bones, and the only thing I see moving is truly the military, and that the people that we hear from, the people that talk in the news, are the sort of a high elite. But the truth of the country is that it truly is collapsing, and it's ruled by this very corrupt, small number of people, increasingly smaller and smaller. Okay, so it shows that they're commanding, but from, I wouldn't say a facade, because they have a lot of they have a lot of they have a lot of stuff going. They're very dedicated to their military trolling situation and killing people in Ukraine. But it shows me that there's not much more to this country, and that it's living on kind of like on its last legs. And that, okay, it shows me this, yes, it's close to collapsing of central command, and it's saying there's so much disinformation, even from Russians to Russians, and the truth about what's truly happening in the field is not being shared, both internally amongst like in the military itself, but also they cannot tell the truth to Putin because he doesn't accept it. Right? He's like, well, we have just send more men to the front, and the whole thing is starting to collapse. It's saying there is no more. It's a chaos in the sense of no more order, and all of it. And it's saying the people that are working with Trump and Elon Musk, because both work for Russia, right, are also being quote unquote disappeared, and like it just seems much more chaotic than we know. So okay, so this eclipse, is it going to impact Russia first? Saying yes. We're going to start seeing, I think, a much stronger collapse of a. So okay, I got an image. Interesting, isn't it, guys? My military interest. So I got this image from the Tet Offensive. The Tet Offensive was when the people that were uh, from North, let's just say North Vietnam, who are the quote unquote communists, whatever, right? I don't remember because they're Viet Cong. I get confused. There's several groups, but the both basically the ones the Americans were fighting against. So they come into Saigon, and they did this quick offensive that took over a lot of places. Then the Americans took it back, but the Tet Offensive is the turning point of the Vietnam War, considered the turning point. And then one of the episodes is that the Viet Cong. I think that, again, I know there's different. Basically, we use Viet Cong because I think it's the anti the ones Americans were fighting, right? They went into a radio station and took over a radio station, and they were shot later. But it was bold, and that's what it shows to me, that somebody is going to filter, like, how they have a lot of propaganda, right? A lot of propaganda channels, TV networks. It may be like infiltrated. It's going to get to the point where the communications, for a country like Russia, propaganda is very important, right? Kind of like trash. And it's going to be disrupted. It's going to get to that point. And it's like telling me, no, it was not like the Tet Offensive, Rosie, because there were many years after. I think Tet Offensive was 1968, if I remember correctly. And then things went on for a few more years, right? But this is just, it signifies the 2 or 3 months most. That's it. By the time it becomes visible, it's really the very ending. And it's interesting that I see Trump trying to call it, like, not him directly, like trying to, like, the people they're hiding in bunkers. God knows what they're doing. So the chaos that they create in the world ends up hitting their doorsteps. The same thing they wanted to create in different countries, they want to do the different countries is being done to them. Not just because of the success of Ukraine, but because they have essentially sacrificed their own ranks. They're very disorganized. And for military, right, that's terrible. You have to be organized. The chain of command isn't clear because people like die or they get disappeared, demoted, and something like that. So, and there's so much corruption. So that's what I pick up, that the chaos, the people that are behind the chaos are going to get chaos themselves. What is that saying? Tasted your own, had a taste of his own medicine kind of feeling. Okay. So, so that's what I feel like. It could be surprising how quickly something falls, but it's saying what we are going to see is the sign that something is collapsing as we speak. And then I see it's interesting. Putin's people, not Putin's people, Peter Thiel's people, like, oh my God, I'm trying to get in touch with them. They're not responding. They're like, they don't know what to do because they counted on, and now they're like, we're gonna get caught, right? So it's saying things could change very quickly. Okay. So sorry, am I making sense, guys? I know I kind of now things are a bit more abstract. So okay, so that's one of the possibilities. But okay, let's go back to more issues here. I'm gonna go to the next subject. So the next subject is, so you saw that Trump issued an order to make H-1B visas cost $100,000 per year per employee, and it used to be $780. Of course, we do know that it's true that to a degree this system has been abused, especially by like contracting companies based in India, right? Especially for software developers in that way. That's true to a degree, meaning a lot of the most specialized people, especially in artificial intelligence, a lot of them are scientists with PhDs. And they have H-1Bs, okay, to stay in the country. And now this is going to decimate tech, really. And I don't mean I'm not saying that I think there's abuse, but what it's going to do on a broad scale, that's going to prevent the top level from staying here. And nobody's going to want to hire anybody, right, from abroad, this is the reason why tech in the US has worked, because it's all immigrants pretty much, right? A lot of the founders are immigrants. Not every single person, but does it make sense? A lot of it. This is what the success of the US economy is based on. A lot of very, very smart immigrants that come here and start companies and do things like that. So people like Elon Musk himself came through the H-1B visa and others, okay? So, and we know that's the other irony. The irony is that Twitter, when he took over, the only people that supposedly stayed were the ones that had the H-1B visas, where they didn't have an option. They had to stay because everybody else quit, right? Or was fired or something. But so famously, Tesla hires a lot of H-1Bs because it's cheap. The salaries are lower, right? But again, I'm not saying it's a very complex issue. But the point is, because it puts everybody on the same level, it will, like, entire tech industry. And I'm not talking about the top companies, which I'm sure they do that too, every single across the board. But also what I mean to say is that Elon Musk, that's his strategy, right? Low sell. Tesla is known, a lot of his companies pay low relative to other companies, right? He exploits people. He does all these things. So what is going to happen here? This is an obvious, we know that Trump's goal is to destroy the US, but this is a very direct way to destroy Tesla and Elon Musk's practices and such. He's going to be among the ones that are hurt by this. So what is going to happen? And by the way, my mother came here first also with a H-1B. So everything, it's basically going to end qualified, like people who are hired to work in the US from abroad. They didn't have, my mother's case, didn't immigrate. She got a job offer abroad when she was living in Brazil, and then she came with a visa, with everything, right? So now they're eliminating this. So at least for now. So what's going to happen? But what I'd like to know that is this connection between Trump and Elon Musk, because it's all connected to the election. The issue, the reason why they're always going to have to be connected is because of what Musk did for him in the election. So how is this going to impact Elon Musk and their relationship? He's like, oh, he's angry. Get him out. And it shows me again, there's a rift between the far right tech bros and the MAGAs, the original MAGAs. The original MAGAs don't like them, and it's saying it's going to drive the rift further. I do think that eventually it will be stopped, kind of like the tariffs or some of those things that he does. But it's another thing that it creates. It gives a sort of like a deathly scent to the whole American tech, the whole industry, American industry, right? Because again, we have that, and then of course the people that are in like the red states think that they're going to get better jobs because of this, but no, they're not, because they're not a lot of times qualified for the types of jobs that right, that we need foreigners for. Talk about very high level ones. Okay, so this makes sense. Like it is what it is, right? That's what Putin wants, destroy the US. So how far is this going to go? I see again, I see the movement to try to remove Trump is on the way. It's happening. Because that's right. I see that, and I see the tech bros are like, well, but we're gonna make it was gonna be different. It's not too harsh, he doesn't think through the details. So again, yeah, okay. Being pushed out, moved out. Power struggle. And I see again, wow, interesting. I see that there's like it shows me this power struggle between the tech bros and the MAGA bros. And then like as they're fighting, fist fighting and everything, it's like it shows me the Titanic, the ice, like a big ice chunk thing and there's and like craters in the floor below. Like so the ship is sinking ship arrives as they're fighting. So the whole entire project collapses. That's what I'm getting. So, okay, so what happens to this? What is going to happen to this issue? Challenged in court and stopped. But again, it's saying, but the damage to the mindset of people, to the way that investors and foreign investors perceive the U.S. Is you can't go back on this. It's really very damaging. So, okay, but I wanted to share this with you guys. Okay, and that's it for now. Okay, that's it. So, wow. So, wow, interesting. So again, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. There's more to talk about. There's a Kamala book tour and everything. I want to talk about this on the next video tomorrow. But for now, this is it. But again, keep the faith, keep self-care, keep yourself, I was gonna say indoors, but something like that, right? Keep yourself on the down low. And they'll see. All right. Okay. So see you later, alligators. Bye.